The root of it's not just yoga, it's your life. Those root words came from experience. And so if you've been following me along this journey, then you know that yoga saved my life. And so whether you want to use this as a meditation or whether you just want to use it as something for the day that just gives you a reminder of a few things. If you are using this as a meditation, then lay down, get comfortable, relax, and just listen. And if you're using this just for something for the day, to fill the mind with positive thoughts, then continue about your day as you listen to this. Grab your earphones, whatever it may be. So what I want to share with you is that the reason why it's not just yoga is because yoga is not about being on a mat. It's not about the same poses over and over again on a yoga mat. It can, however, be the same poses over and over again. It can, however, be balance, strength, weakness, frustration, joy. It can be all of these things. And everything we experience on the mat, we experience in life. And so I'll keep saying this throughout this recording. It's not just yoga, it's your life. So I want you to imagine that you're on a yoga mat and the class has just begun and you're in a seated position, which may be uncomfortable. And the instructor tells you, just breathe. But here you are in this uncomfortable seated position. How do you even find your breath? How do you relax? How do you even sit up straight? For some, it's a hunch over. And so I remind you that it is your life. It is your life and it is your responsibility to care for yourself on and off the mat. So as we sit in this seated position on the mat and we are guided to breathe, our breath is stagnant, our breath is shallow, because there isn't space there to take that inhale. There isn't longevity in the spine to be able to take that deep breath in. There isn't relaxation and comfort in the body to be able to exhale with ease. And so the breath is not fluid, the breath is not balanced. And where do you find yourself like that in your everyday life? Where in life do you realize that you are in a seated position? And you are told to do something, but it's hard for you because you can't breathe, you can't take this deep inhale, you can't fully exhale, you cannot sit up straight, your knees are hurting, it's very uncomfortable. Where is that going on in your life? And so as we take those few breaths in this seated position, and then we are guided to come onto all four hands and knees. Even the journey there can be hard. How does one go from an uncomfortable seated position to hands and knees? But yet in life, we are expected to move into different things and transition. And we do this with discomfort and fear and lack of flexibility and lack of mobility. And yet we keep going. And again, what happens to the breath? It becomes more and more shallow because there isn't space for that inhale. There isn't comfort and relaxation for that full exhale. And so we find ourselves on our hands and knees in this yoga position, and now we are instructed to move the spine in cat-cow position. And so we drop the belly and arch the back and point the nose to the ceiling. And for some, it feels amazing because the spine is getting some movement. And then we drop the chin and we hunch the back and we really round through the shoulders. And for some, it feels so good. But for some, the discomfort is still there. The stiffness is still there. The breath still is not receiving that full inhale, the full exhale release. And yet we keep going. And the instructor doesn't wait for us to say, hey, wait a minute. There's some things going on here. I need to either change positions or maybe even go back to that seated position. Maybe I need to start over. Maybe I need to be still. And so then we go from our hands and knees up into a standing position. And now we are fully present on this mat, standing in mountain pose. And again, we are told to breathe. But where is that inhale? Where is that inhale that opens up the shoulders, opens up the heart, clears out the throat chakra, and allows for us to feel this vibration going through our body as we inhale? And where is the softness when we release the breath out and it feels almost like a stream of water is running through the body, releasing all the way out of the toes? How do we find that if we are still uncomfortable? If we are still stiff? If we are still stagnant? If we are still trying to understand the poses that we are doing? And where do you find that in your everyday life? And so I want you to take some time to search the body. And again, if you're laying down in a meditation state, then begin to search. And most people would say, well, what am I searching for? But see, that's the question that we need to remove ourselves from, because it doesn't need to be answered with such detail. We just search. And if you're not laying down in a meditative position, you're still searching. You could be cleaning the kitchen right now listening to this, and you can still search the body. Just search. Start with the top of your head and just explore what is going on with the top of my head. Go into your head. What is going on with my brain and my thoughts? What is present in my neck, my shoulders? How do they feel? What is going on? And you're not necessarily looking to receive an answer to everything. But that moment of searching, that moment of stillness, it's just like your Savasana pose on the mat. And so in everyday life, ask yourself, what am I searching for? What am I looking for? Well, let me explore. Let me continue to explore my shoulders and see if they're up in my ears or if they're relaxed down. Let me explore my chest and be aware if there's tension and tightness there. Let me explore my belly. Is it soft? Is the breath starting there? Or is the breath heavy in my chest? Let me explore my waist, my hips. How do they feel? Let me explore my thighs, my knees, my calves, my ankles, my heels, my feet, and all the way to my toes. Let me just explore. And as I'm exploring, let me imagine that there is just a river flowing through my body. And anything that is no longer serving me is washed away. And let me imagine that the sun is shining down on me and filling me with all of this warmth. And at the same time, let me imagine that the moon is shining down on me and giving me this coolness, this serene feeling. And let me take all of these sensations and all of these feelings and everything that I'm exploring, let me experience it on and off the mat, because it's not just yoga, it's your life. And let me breathe. Let me hear my breath as I inhale. Let me be aware of what parts of my body move as I inhale. Let me find a little bit more space each time I inhale. And as I exhale, let all the tension in my body release and drop down. Let it fully exit out of my body. Because why would I carry all this? And let me do this daily. Let me do this often, because it's not just yoga, it's your life. And so if you're in a meditative state, spend as much time as you need there. Even as this recording ends, maybe you take yourself back to that imaginary place on your mat, and maybe you explore poses again. And if you're listening to this recording as you're moving around and doing things, maybe you imagine what the day would look like if you aligned it, how you would feel. Back to that exploring, because you are capable of any and every feeling in your body. You are capable of any and every emotion. But what is it that you need? What are you searching for? How do you know if you don't explore first? So I invite you to spend time daily exploring yourself on and off the mat. Because it is not just yoga. It is your life. Namaste.